Welcome back to Speed Gaming Live 2021. My name is Tyler Saul. I'll be your host for the next couple hours. We're going to keep things rolling on with Steven Universe Unleash the Light, any percent, no major glitches with CyberLokii. Cyber, take it away.
Hi, buena. Hello everyone. I am CyberLokii. I am speedrunning from Steven Universe series. I hope you like the run, since this in the last Steven Universe game that has come out. Bardin and Deck will be accompanying me in the comments. I read that my English is not very good. Y ya pueden empezar a hablar ustedes en inglés.
Okay, so should I count down?
Okay.
Xavier,
Sí.
countdown?
Yeah. No. Ahora.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1,
go.
go.
And also, hi, I am Varlden. I'll be helping out with the commentary here. I don't run this game, but I do run Save the Light, which is another game in the Steven Universe franchise.
Yeah, and I'm Delk. I'm another Argentine runner who is here to help Loki in case he needs something translated that he cannot say in Spanish. I'll let Baldwin lead on the commentary, so go right ahead.
So here, basically, we're just kind of getting some background on what's going on within the universe. And basically, this takes place after Season 5 of Steven Universe. So the Gem Empire is slowly being dismantled, but there's still some loose ends to tie up. And that is what this game's story is going to be. Now, this here is the first fight in the game. It's essentially like a tutorial. You kind of get to see how combat works. Maybe one of the most important things to pay attention to is that we have our fighters, our team is arranged in a sort of like diamond shape. And this is going to be important for various tactics. It does matter at certain points what characters are where, determines how much aggro they accrue, etc. We're learning game mechanics here, like we use star points here to do attacks. Like right here with Pearl's Spear, that attack takes 3 stars, that's up in the top left corner. Between items and turns, player abilities and such, we get them back. So it's a turn-based combat game. So during all of the fights, we'll be watching Loki, basically trying to end the fights as quickly as possible, while also being as optimal of the fights as well. And right here is the Prism. Now, if you're not familiar with the other light games, the Prism was our enemy in Attack the Light, which was the first game in the series. In Save the Light, an enemy named Hestonite tried to take it back since the Prism originally belonged to her. And in this one, the Prism has become our friend. And has told us that he likes to be called George. So say hello to George.
George.
Hello, George.
And now here we are within the Palace of Light. So here we're learning about perfect hits here. So whenever you land a perfect hit, which is when that star below the enemies is purple, when you do that, that little bar at the bottom goes up a little bit, and that is what we use for team attacks. And there are all sorts of ones in the game, and it depends on your party makeup what happens to be available at the time. So that is going to be something we use during the speedrun. We're also learning about the cheeseburger backpack. The cheeseburger backpack is basically how we use items in this game. It's sort of the mechanic, which is also pretty cute because it's actually a thing in the show too. So it's nice that they implemented that. And here we're learning that in order to get through the Palace of Light, we're going to have to collect these rainbow keys. Otherwise, we can't get past these doors here. So, as you can see, for this particular one, we need 3 to be able to continue. And that there, we're being introduced to one of our enemies, that is the Mantoid. She's one of the gems that wasn't too happy with Steven's decree of everyone being free and being able to do their own thing. So she's one of those loose ends we mentioned. Throughout the world, there are also those chests there that Loki just opened up, and they will contain various items. They can contain items like those are consumables. They can also contain things like badges, weapon schematics, etc.
Burritos before warping was a bad idea.
So now we're on the moon, the alien moon, which is the first world. So Pearl has gone off to do her own thing. She's no longer in our party. However, we have been joined by Lapis Lazuli. So there will be multiple characters that will be joining the party throughout the run as the story progresses. And as you can see here, Loki just switched Garnet and Lapis's position. So that's, as you can see, Lapis's attack right there. That's one of those attacks where it only hits enemies that are directly in front of her. So that's one example where the formation of the characters actually matters, because if there's no enemies there, then it's not going to hit them. Right there as well, that was mentioning the threat, as I said before. So the character who's out in front, which is Steven right now, is going to be generating the most threats, whereas Lapis in the back would be generating the less. Now, they can still be attacked. It is still random whenever the enemy decides to attack someone. It just means that they'll be generating a little bit less back there. And Lapis is a little bit squishy. She does a lot of damage, but her health and defense is kind of low. And here is the first rainbow key. And there is a longer animation that shows George absorbing the key into his body. But this is a speedrun, so we're able to skip that by holding down the B button, as Loki did. And here we're seeing a little bit of the map on each individual world. Like you can see here, you kind of have to go through them one at a time. There are some diverging paths as well. So for each world, we have to go through all these sort of like sub-areas until we're able to get to the boss of each one.
Let's try this.
So as you can see, one of the items that is pretty useful for the speedruns is the Starfruit. So the Starfruit gives you 3 stars. Ooh, and that was very nice. That was nice right there. After every fight, you can see as well, you gain experience. And here is a green key. So in addition to the rainbow keys to get you through the Palace of Lights, there are also just various other key doors that exist throughout the world, and so you'll have to collect a key in order to get through them. So that one right there is a green key, so whenever we come up to a green gate key, gate door, we'll be able to open it.
Whip it good. Ow!
And as we're kind of seeing from the past couple of fights, Amethyst in particular is pretty good when you have multiple enemies to fight, because her whole thing is sort of crowd control. That's the sort of niche that she fills. So enemies that are within that cone all get hit by her whip. And as we're seeing, when you're able to utilize that properly, you can take down the enemies pretty quickly in a fight. So here's a little secret area. We are grabbing another key. And at the end of every area, it also tells you, when you get to the warp pad at the end there, it tells you how many things are in that particular area. So that chest, for example, we didn't open it, but also we don't need it for the run. So of course, as this is a any percent run, we're not grabbing it.
Let's use an ice. How about this?
Nice.
Whip it good.
Yeah, so again, you see Loki uses that star fruit as soon as the fight begins. Amethyst is positioned in such a way that that whip is hitting all 4 of them at the same time. And at least for the moment, we can use the cheeseburger backpack once per turn. There we go, Lapis cleaning that up.
Hey, it's my page. You earned this.
And right there, you can see that level up. And whenever a character levels up, it increases their stats. And as you get points, you can also unlock more abilities as well. So we get introduced to a little puzzle. These appear a bit often in the game. Basically, you have to align pillars in some way to make the light appear on like a little prism like this. And it makes things like walls disappear or chests appear and stuff like that.
We're done already?
So as you can see here, there's a divergent path. You could either go up or down if you wanted to. And for the purposes of this run, we're going up to 1-4. So we're breaking various vases and such as well. It's happening pretty quickly, but we're doing that, and there are bits inside of those, and those bits we use in the stores in order to buy stuff. So right there, for example, we came across a store, and we bought a 3-pack of those star fruits. So routing in various vase breaks at points is something we need to do in order to have the items that we need.
How about this?
So I have a question that some people may have, is that, of course, this being a turn-based RPG, there's bound to be some RNG. I read the guide that Loki sent me, but how much of the run will you feel is like properly reacting to what's coming to you versus like premeditated strats?
Cheeseburger backpack.
I would probably say a lot of the non-boss fights probably have a certain amount of having to react to it. Because, like I said, you can't really anticipate what's going to happen, like what enemies are going to attack. Something like they're attacking with Lapis. If you don't get the perfect hit with Lapis, that wave only hits the enemy once instead of twice. So there is a pretty decent amount of reactiveness that happens in all of the fights. The bosses can be a little bit more straightforward because you more or less know what they're going to do. At least you know what their attacks are going to be.
Alright, that's interesting.
Otherwise, other things, you know, like you're always going to grab like the same items in the run or go to the store all the time.
Here I go.
But yeah, it's also something I do with Save the Light, the one of the other games in the series. Particularly like in the very beginning, there's a lot of variance in what the enemies do.
Excusez-moi.
The thing that's interesting about that is that you said that the bosses are rather consistent. I would think otherwise, really, because like bosses usually are meant to like screw you up in this type of games, like make it harder to come up with a strategy.
Yeah, I would say especially for like the first time playing, you're not really sure what's gonna happen. Like for the first boss here, you know, I didn't know what the mechanic was going to be, and having Amethyst could be useful.
Wait.
And I did not utilize her properly during my playthrough. But yeah, you know, you can just kind of like develop strategies, and there's still going to be like some hang-ups if things don't go well. But you have like a general idea of what the quickest way to defeat the bosses are going to be.
I see, and if we're not too far, if I'm not mistaken, we're like a few minutes away from the first boss. I'm looking forward to that.
Oh yes, we are nearly there.
How about let's try this? After this, take a breather.
Another thing to note as well is the fights that we're doing and the number of fights, because this is a game where characters gain experience, so it will be important for characters to have experience in order to have the abilities that we'll need for later on.
This should work.
You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
No.
Yeah, and Steven's shield ability right there is pretty good for cleaning up. Unfortunately, that drill enemy is attacking Lapis there. She was charging up. If she had done that properly, her next attack would have been more powerful. Lapis is a bit of a glass cannon.
I choose you.
Watch this.
I'm glad we do get her basically right at the start of the game in this one, though. There was supposed to be DLC for Save the Light, where we would have been able to use Lapis, but they just kind of never got around to it.
Bad RNG. In this fight.
Yeah, that's one of the cases of big RNG in the run, is when Lapis is concentrating like that. Ideally, the enemies aren't going to attack her and interrupt it, but unfortunately, that's something that can happen.
Yeah, and the difference between some of best and the PBs in this game show you that like bad RNG can be absolutely costly, as far as I'm observing.
Oh yeah, without a doubt, without a doubt. So we also did pick up a Superstar Fruit. So instead of healing 3 like the yellow one does, that one heals up 6. We also moved on to World 1-8 instead of going in order to 1-7. Since again, we're just trying to get to our boss as quickly as possible. So we don't have to go to one of the other areas, then we don't.
Here I go.
You can also see that bar at the bottom there whenever we're in a fight. When Steven's gem is lighting up like that, that means that we have the ability to do team attacks.
That's a keeper. How about this should work.
And so we're healing up a little bit there as well. ambushes like this can be kind of a pain to get into. Because whenever you get ambushed, they basically get the first strike on you. So they all attack first, and then you can go.
So is there no way to properly like run out of ambushes, like where you can other RNG encounters in other RPGs?
I think, I mean, it could potentially be possible, but I don't think we've probably like glitch hunted to see if there's something we can do about them.
I don't. Yeah, that's interesting, but I meant it in like, you know how, for example, let's say Pokemon just like flee from an ambush, unless these are like story-related fights. In that case, I misunderstood you.
Oh no, there's no way to flee a fight once you get into it. You either beat them or they wipe you.
All right.
I'm sorry. I let you guys down.
Yeah, unfortunately, there is no flee option. It's kind of interesting because one of the games I feel like the Light series sort of took inspiration from was the Paper Mario series, and you are able to run in fights in that one.
I was going to make a Paper Mario comparison, especially like maybe not from Paper Mario itself, but the way it's structured, like having like worlds and sub-worlds. That's very similar to a 2D Mario game. For an RPG, that's kind of unique.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then in Save the Light, every character has like an out-of-combat ability. Like Amethyst can use her whip to grab items from far away. Garnet can punch things and break blocks. So it's kind of like how in Paper Mario too. Like every character does something, like the bombs can blow something up, or the Goombas will tell you a bit of information.
Yeah, and it's completely understandable why they took inspiration, because Paper Mario is awesome.
Let's try this.
Oh yeah, I agree. Plus the badges too.
Yeah, that is a big one.
Chat, I guess, is also right. Gems will never run away from a fight. So yeah, right there we leveled up, and an important thing is that Garnet gained a new ability, which we're going to be wanting to use in the fights.
Ha! Did you see me back there? I was all
And that big crossbone that's in red is the boss, if that wasn't obvious.
Let's get this party started.
However, first we're going to go up here, and we're going to grab that rainbow key.
Have we always been this good? I'm ready when you are.
What's this doing here?
So coming into his first boss, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there's 3 different like attacks he can give you, and they are all like, they vary on how much time they cost you. Like there is a like okay option, a fantastic option, and a terrible option. Is that correct?
Yes, that is. So all of these little constructs, they're about to jump into a giant drill that's coming in right now, and that's going to be our boss. So it can basically deploy its hands into like sort of little flying drones, and that's going to be the worst attack. It also does this thing where it kind of spins across the battlefield with its claws out. That can do damage, and it can also stun, which can be a little bit scary. Or it just kind of like goes up to someone and attacks them.
I choose you.
But the thing for this fight is that we have to do enough damage through the drill, and then it's going to sort of like pop open, and the little guys are going to pop out, and then you have to kill the little guys. And unfortunately, that is the bad RNG.
Yeah, we could see Loki there reflect life for a sec.
Yeah, so unfortunately, in order to continue, you have to destroy the little drill pilots there. Luckily, Lapis can help us out with that, since that wave attack can hit flying enemies. And the nice thing too is that the little guys don't have too much health, since the sort of theme of this is like to whittle down the boss by taking out the insides. I guess talking about Paper Mario, it's sort of like Huff and Puff.
Keep it up, Lapis.
How like every time you hit Huff and Puff, like the little cloud guys come out. Sort of the same concept here. And that was one of the other attacks we saw, by the way, as well. The drill just comes up and smacks you twice. So the power that we got with Garnet, by the way, if you notice, when Loki activated it, those little like prawns showed up on the gloves. So that allows her to do a little bit extra damage, I believe, and also to counter attack. And there we go, using the shield to clean up a little bit more. And there we go, we got the drone again.
Let's get dangerous.
Cheeseburger backpack. I'm gonna go with this.
The Star Melon makes it so that you gain an extra star point at the start of every fight. Every turn, sorry. And it's for 5 turns, I believe it works. Here we go. Here's the other attack.
Here I go.
So yeah, it does that little spinny thing, and if you did not properly, like Oki did it properly, but if you were to mess that up, then characters could get stunned. And that's especially bad if Steven gets stunned, because if Steven is ever stunned or defeated in a fight, you are not able to access the backpack anymore, which means not using an item.
Okay, after that first attack, we're getting some pretty decent RNG here. We got 2 of the best attack in a row, which you always see.
Here I go. Catch.
Yeah, it's working a bit better now. You can also see here, so he's targeting that upper one and then the bottom one. So Steven's shield, when he throws it, will hit everything in its path. So you can actually choose what targets to have the shield go through in order to try to hit as many enemies as possible. So the enemy formation can also be like a little bit of RNG whenever you're using that shield. And as you can see, the boss is on his final breath here. Neat little thing too is as you do damage and take out the enemies, they obviously don't go back into the actual drill. So like even if the health bar wasn't there, you could still kind of tell because there's less in there.
Let's get dangerous.
So there we go. We just have the last one in there.
Okay.
And using that
Finally.
star fruit to have enough stars. And there we go. First boss down.
Do love to see it.
I guess question to Loki. I'm assuming that's kind of bad RNG since you're a bit behind on the splits.
Yeah, as far as his RNG goes, he has like his PB. I don't remember it quite, but I think he's got able to get away from, like, avoid the worst attack completely, which is the most costly one by far.
Ha! Did you see me back there? I was all whap crack bam! I'm ready when you are.
So here, before we continue on to the next world, we're going to be going to this shop to grab a couple of more items before we continue. More star fruits. As you can see, they are pretty useful for the run.
If we have a bit of downtime post, I think we'll use some time to do some announcements.
Yeah, I think we just have some story stuff right now, so it'll be a good time for that.
Sure, I hope you're all enjoying this run as much as I am. It's great. So again, this is SpeedGaming Live 2021. We are raising money for the prize pool for the tournaments for next year's SpeedGaming Live event, SGL 2022. So get those donations in. You can, when you make a donation, you can nominate a game to be featured as a tournament in next year's event, and those donations go towards the prize pool for those events. So you can support the speedrunners in your favorite community by giving them a chance to win some money playing a game pretty fast. That's really great. Great thing to do. I think you can do that. We've also got some incentives and some prizes that are still available throughout the rest of the day here. So I can talk more about those in a little bit, but get your donations in at the Matcherino site, which I've put, or that's not exclamation point done, not donate. There we go. Put those in the chat there. Get your donations in.
And so here we are on Demantoid's world. This is one that has a lot of bismuths on it. So as we saw there, that was one of the team abilities that we've unlocked. So we can now have a fusion between Garnet and Steven, and that is Sunstone. And Sunstone can be used in many fights. It's going to be the fastest way to get through them. Since it's a fusion, fusions typically are going to be doing a lot more damage than individual gems or characters on their own. It's also a small important thing is to get the bar back up. That way we'll be able to use Sunstone again when we need to use her. This attack is pretty nice because it does a decent amount of damage, as you can see. I do also believe if there are multiple enemies within that little spear, all of them get hit as well. Also puts a nice little burn debuff on them. All the fusions in the game have like their own sort of like little quirks and other various things that they do. However, to start with, all the fusions can only be... you only get 3 turns with them, and then 2 characters will defuse, or unfuse rather.
Hasta la pizza.
Here we are.
And with that, we are moving on to the next little world here. And a familiar face. That is our Bismuth from the show.
Cheeseburger backpack.
So Bismuth is now going to be an unlockable character for us to use. She also gave us a Prism containment chamber. So you can put a Prism into there and it will basically deactivate them. Grab another rainbow key. So Bismuth is going to be used for a decent bit of the run. In particular, she has this ability where she forges, or as sometimes we call it, Minecraft. And one of the things that she can do is craft an ability that lowers the skills of powers by 1 star. So that can come in handy quite a lot. Yeah, so as we can see here, since both those enemies are within Sunstone's radius, they get hit. Just kind of rolling on the haters here. Speaking of, if we have any Steven Universe fans in the chat, do you particularly have a favorite fusion? Whenever I ask or get asked that question, I always wonder, does Garnet count? If you don't know, Garnet's actually a perma-fusion between two gems, Sapphire and Ruby. So like technically she's a fusion. If we can count Garnet, I would pick Garnet, but I'm also a big fan of Sardonyx. That is the fusion between Garnet and Pearl. It just kind of has like a fun, sassy attitude, and I'm kind of a sucker for that.
Hang in there, George.
Hello. Brilliant. Oh,
As far as the run is concerned, Loki will definitely be preferring Sunstone. It is by far the most common run. I think it's thanks to it being the strongest fusion, but you can correct me on that.
For the purposes of speedruns, Sunstone's incredibly useful. Also there, so I mentioned it earlier that as characters level up, they can also get new abilities. So right here is at the point where we kind of want to do them for the speedrun. So multiple characters there got various upgrades. Every character has like 2 paths they can go down. Like Garnet, for example, I believe is offense and defense. So if you want Garnet to be either more of a tanky character or more like a melee fighter, you can choose to do that. In particular, for the two of them, Steven and Garnet can have one that increases Sunstone and makes Sunstone more powerful. So we're kind of trying to work for that one. Yes, Bismuth has some nice HP right now. Here we go. So Bismuth is now playing Minecraft. So in order for Bismuth to do abilities here, you have to get the, as you can see, there's 4 different ingredients there. And so we're trying to get the ones to forge the ability that Loki needs. As I mentioned, when that one is used, all gems near Bismuth, their abilities will be reduced by 1. And there we go. So yeah, for all the Sunstone fans out there, you're going to be seeing her quite a bit. I also do like how in the show Sunstone is able to break the 4th wall. Her personality is sort of like being a 90s PSA sort of thing. Remember kids, do not turn into a giant fireball and attack your enemies at home.
Let's use an item.
Another ability that Steven is able to get is being able to use the cheeseburger backpack twice per turn instead of just 1. So that is a pretty nice ability to have.
Nice work.
And we're going right from World 3 to World 7.
for you and me.
En la anterior batalla
Now,
quise rellenar completo para esta misma batalla. Para tener la fusión apenas empezar.
Okay, so like what Loki just said there is that in the previous battle he filled up a full potion, I think he said. Dijiste poción completa, ¿no?
La barra.
Okay, yeah. He filled like the bar that you see like right next to the backpack completely to have it ready for this battle. That's what he said.
yes, so in this game there are also items that you can use to fill up that, I believe it's called the Friendship Bracelet. There's a similar thing in Save the Light, and basically it's a way to be able to increase that bar even quicker. And since we do use teamwork abilities like Sunstone, that's also an extremely useful thing to have. We also did just grab a level up charm from that chest. It's self-explanatory, that automatically levels up a character. So that's useful for when we need to level up a character in order to give them more experience, when we need to unlock a certain ability a little bit quicker. There is no difficulty marker in Unleash the Light, so this is just the difficulty of the game. There is a sub-area called the Black Hole, and that's sort of like a how would you put it? Like a fight gauntlet, sort of. And for that one, you can pick different difficulties. Otherwise, for the normal game, it's just the same thing every time.
Just another day in the office.
And so here, we're running over to the next shop. We're going to buy some star fruits, and there's also a rainbow key that we have to grab.
We're just getting started.
Our spacefaring adventure continues. Hey!
So we'll be coming up to a bit of a difficult fight here. Ideally, we're going to be able to use Bismuth to forge that skill to reduce all of the attacks by 1 star, and then use Sunstone to take out these enemies.
Open for business. Here we go. A bubble for your trouble. Cheeseburger back. Let's try this.
Yeah, so there we go, that kind of random RNG. That enemy just decided that Bismuth needs to be attacked. Not a fan of her playing Minecraft.
Holy shit.
Everyone's just harassing them.
Yeah, that is not good.
I guess you have to come into this run expecting things to happen like that. That's kind of the magic of it. Adapt.
Cheeseburger backpack.
Yeah, exactly. Like the question you asked earlier about like how much is sort of reacting to what goes on. Here's a good example. What do you do when Bismuth is defeated and you kind of want her for the optimal strat? You just have to make some backups and work on the fly. Also, part of the reason why you may feel like the enemies are a bit tougher is, keep in mind, since we are speedrunning, we're not going to like every single area to clear out all the enemies like you probably would in a casual run. So in a way, we're sort of like under-leveled. And there you see Loki using that friendship bracelet again, increasing the bar at the bottom. And we're not quite filled back up again.
Okay, now I'm mad.
Yes, in Unleash the Light, Bismuth is a character that joins your party. And she is also useful in the speedrun, so we'll be seeing her for a bit.
Now that's what I call loose.
And here we have a couple of chests to grab. We'll be grabbing another level up idol there too, as you see.
No, I put it in here. I'm gonna go with this. Let's do it to it.
Later.
And there we go, healing everyone up before moving on to World 2-8.
Feels good to be on an adventure.
Cheeseburger backpack. Don't leave too big.
So this one is, I don't know if you'd call it a puzzle necessarily, but there's 2 elevators on either side. And so you kind of have to like go around and grab proper keys to be able to get through onto the next area. Obviously, on your first playthrough, you kind of wouldn't know what to do, but you know, as a speedrunner, we know where each one, where all the keys are and whatnot.
Here I go. Got it. Let's boogie.
So, as someone with not much knowledge on like the lore, is this like a canon entry that connects a season, or is it like a side story? How does it work?
So all of the games in the Light series, which there are 3 of, they're considered secondary canon. So unless the television show or Rebecca Sugar herself, who creates Steven Universe, like contradicts something that happens in these games, they're considered to be canon.
Okay, so it's not like they're part of the main plot in the show, but they can be considered like something that happened.
Yeah, it's you know, it's kind of like the Star Wars movies and spin-offs and all of that stuff compared to the main series. It's sort of like a similar thing to that.
Yeah, as long as it is not contradictory, acknowledged, let's say.
Yeah, it's like if the show, or like hypothetically, if the show had said like something didn't happen, or Rebecca Sugar said like no, this doesn't happen, then we kind of axe it.
Yeah, I gotcha.
But otherwise, yeah, this is one of the adventures that Steven does between the end of Season 5 of Steven Universe, but before the movie. That's the time period of this game. And with that, we are moving on to the boss of Demantoid's world. I'm sure no one can guess who the boss of this world is going to be.
Gems. Form up
Let's
and
do it
roll
too.
out.
Hey,
Ready when
we've
you
been
are.
through a lot together, backpack.
Well, my pick is Bowser.
Ever tried one of these? Backpack.
I was thinking it was going to be King K. Rool.
No, guys, it's always Dr. Wily.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Oh yeah, that's it.
True that this is a very mechanical and advanced world.
Obviously, the correct answer is you get King K. Rool and then Dr. Wily is the twist villain.
Well, I think I'm the closest because the boss is green.
Always find a way. Engage.
So yeah, Demantoid is not at least not as much of a problem as the first boss. So of course, we're going to have Bismuth playing some Minecraft here.
Let's see what we've got. Here we go. Now we're bubble bites. We've been through a lot together, backpack.
And Demantoid's thing is that she summons other monsters to basically help fight for her, as you can see here.
For the glory of the new empire.
Engage.
So she can do one of these attacks where she'll absorb them and throw them back onto you.
Fusion
She'll heal herself with the green ones. It's also a yellow attack that can paralyze enemies. But yeah, so here we are using Sunstone. So here we're attacking with Bismuth because Bismuth's attack lowers the defense. So now all the attacks on Demantoid are going to be doing more damage.
Yeah, and the great thing about this boss is that any attack that may use is completely irrelevant as far as time save or time loss concerned. That is always.
Yeah, that's why this fight is like a little bit more straightforward than the first one. So we're basically just kind of going through the motions here as Sunstone just continuously pounds on Demantoid. Doesn't stand a chance. As for this game compared to Save the Light, probably the biggest thing is that how this game is just kind of like side-scrolling through areas. You don't actually have free movement. In Save the Light, you can move around completely freely. It's like three-dimensional in that way. So like Save the Light has massive like sequence breaks that you can do since you can actually interact with the world compared to this game.
It is interesting how like later game more restrictive, if you will.
Yeah, it is. The first game, Attack the Light, is similar to this. Oh, and with that, we have defeated Demantoid. So we're just going to kind of be going through some dialogue here, and we're going to be presented with a choice. So basically, either you can choose to capture the Prism or not. For the purposes of the speedrun, it's important to not let Bismuth be poofed, because we won't be able to use her anymore. So we're going to be choosing to save Bismuth. So there we go, Bismuth has been saved. Demantoid's, however, going to be again away here. But yeah, since Bismuth is really important to the speedrun with that forging ability, we don't want her to be taken away. Otherwise, I don't believe it's until like around the end of the next world where you'd be able to get her back, so she'd be taken out for quite a while.
Era 3's gonna be different.
I gotta say, this run is by this insanely entertaining. Props so far.
Hey, stop!
Yeah, and there's definitely like a lot that you have to keep track of and react to and everything. It's quite a lot to take in.
I feel stronger already.
It's so cool!
Now there we just got a really nice badge. For that badge, every time we start a fight from now on, we're going to have an extra star point.
Pretty good, this whole liberating the galaxy thing. Hang in there, George.
So much like the other worlds, we're going to be going through and just trying to beat these enemies as fast as possible. Also going to be grabbing some more star fruit here in the shop before we head on to the next world.
Feels good to be on an adventure.
Also, a fun little routing note for this particular world is there was a rainbow key that used to be grabbed elsewhere in the level, and in order to do that, you actually would have had to do a fight, but a faster route has been found, and that particular key is no longer gotten. And like you saw earlier in the run, so we need a certain amount of rainbow keys in order to get through the Palace of Light and get to the final boss. So that's why we've been collecting them this entire time.
How about...
I do believe this is going to be the makeup for the rest of the run.
But to it. Cheeseburger backpack. Item, I choose the
Steven can never be swapped out, but the other three can.
Here you
And it
go.
just so happens to be that the three of them are going to be pretty much the quickest for the run.
Together.
And we're also using the level up charms, which we got
Oh,
earlier.
yeah. I was made for this.
Here is more or less the optimal time to use it, because when you use level up charm, it just gives you enough experience to go to the next level. So if you're only like 100 experience away, it's kind of a waste. But if you more or less just leveled up, that's going to be the more optimal time to use it, since you're getting the most EXP out of it. And of course, using them multiple times in a row, like
Are you
Loki did
ready,
here.
Steven?
That is true. Lapis actually got added in an Peridot actually got added in an update. She was not there from the very beginning,
Feels good to be on an adventure.
which also means she would appear. You basically would get a distress call in one of the levels here, and you'd be able to go grab her. She's over on
What time it is?
the alien moon, the first level. But Peridot is not needed for this speedrun, so we won't be seeing her. We did at least see other Peridots, though, to get a little Peridot fix in. And so here we are using Sunstone.
Holy shit.
That is correct. If you are a fan of Peridot, you'd probably rather run 100%. That way you actually get to see her. And so that's all we need from this area, so we just do that one fight, and then we're moving on. And here we go. See that little symbol there on Area 4? That is where you would go, and that activates the quest to go see Peridot.
Thanks, Warpad.
Which is also kind of interesting, because in Save the Light, you get Peridot like roughly halfway through the game, and it's like sort of the same here. So we're skipping through the dialogue, but this is basically you're getting a distress call on Alien Moon, and there's something to go investigate. And if you were to do that, you would come across Peridot.
Guess what time it is?
So for the most part, we're just going to be having fights where it's just same thing, using Sunstone, trying to build up the bar in order to get through the fights as quickly as we can. So this also would be another good point if we have any announcements the host would like to make.
Sure, I'm sure I can scare something up. Give me a second. Let's talk about incentives, shall we? We have a couple more incentives later on that all of your donations can be put towards. The next one that finishes up is for Bleed 2. That would move the run from to hard difficulty. That is only up for the rest of the hour. So if you want to see Bleed 2 run on hard difficulty, you can donate that. Just $20 will do it. After that, until 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we've got an incentive for Lena's Inception for the art style. That's Bid War 8-bit versus 32-bit. So get those donations in there as well. And remember, all of your donations will go towards the prize pool for next year's SpeedGaming Live tournaments.
Fusion time!
And while Spinel might not be in this game, you can see there are a couple of jokers in here, though. You gotta almost feel bad. They're just kind of vibing, and here we are just coming to ruin their days.
Yeah, they didn't ask for this.
Later.
So here we are going to the town of this particular world. And for here, we're looking for a hidden key. Which is hidden there in that well, and then we just move on.
Do towns play a bigger role in a casual playthrough that we drove through here? Because otherwise they seem a bit fillerish. Like, are they meant to provide story or something significant?
Yes, all the towns that you go through, there are various like little side quests that the townsfolk will give you, and you can also talk to all of them and just get some backstory on that particular world or the gems that happen to be there.
Yeah, so nothing we're too concerned about for this run, basically.
Yeah, for any percent, we're just kind of blasting through them. But 100%, or if you were just doing a casual playthrough, you'd be spending some more time in the towns.
Cheeseburger backpack.
So yeah, again, just kind of going through the motions here with Sunstone. Sometimes also the little yellow guys on top of those will just run away after the fight. I'm not actually sure if that's RNG or there's something that activates it, but it's nice because that means you don't have to spend time killing them. There we're grabbing a key. We're also grabbing some bits along the way by breaking vases, and we get into our next fight.
And in this world, we'll also be buying. Well, this is Spanish, so I don't know the straight translation, but it's like 3 breakfast packs in case our team needs to be healed.
Yeah, Loki's used them a couple of times. There is the Cookie Cat, which just heals one team member. And then there's the Breakfast Friends, and that heals everyone to a certain amount. And then there's also like an even more powerful version, kind of like how the Starfruit has 2 versions. There's one that heals everyone up to full. So the game is fairly generous with giving you items and also having like stores scattered throughout that you can go to.
And as we're finishing 3-7, I beg you please do not blink as we enter 3-8. It is by far the most dynamic level of the run. Blink and you'll miss it.
Yeah, like if you're looking away from the stream, you're going to be missing out. You want to look right now.
Yeah, like, please. It is so worth it.
Our spacefaring adventure continues.
Alright, we're gonna spawn in.
Ready.
And... oh my god, how did he do
That's
that?
amazing.
That was fantastic. Oh my god. Basically world record.
Literal peak of the run right there.
Yeah. Wow, amazing.
I was honestly afraid the run was going to die. It's not very marathon safe there.
Yeah, we really lied to the organizers there in order to get the marathon.
I mean, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do.
Of course, we need that 2 hours of fame.
Now, the ironic thing actually is that this is the longest world here, getting through this planet. The main problem being that this particular level has a lot of ambushes that we'll be getting into.
Yeah, and by now you can see that there is a sort of choreography that happened for the past few ambushes. I think like past 20 by now. We're just going to use Sunstone and hope for the best, and if necessary, we'll try to freestyle a bit. And we want to end with the bottom bar filled up for the next battle.
Give this a whirl.
Yeah, the sort of theme for the fights that aren't boss fights at this particular time is we just need Bismuth to activate her ability, and then Sunstone comes in and does damage. It's the most optimal way to get through these fights, typically.
I also made that we still have a chance of PB with world record. Of course, it's going to be high, but it's not dead until it is.
That is true. It would be a bit difficult, but it is possible. We could see a new world record get made here. Loki does hold the world record currently, so that PB is the current world record.
World record with a 14-minute lead, I may add, which means that he put in his work to get it.
I'm here for you.
Well, not to get it, but to like further optimize it, you know?
Yeah, the run has gone through quite a bit of time save. I believe the first run was maybe about 2 hours and 40 minutes or something like that. So through optimizing strats and finding out new things and figuring out the fastest way to go through everything, they have managed to cut that down quite a bit.
You are correct on the time there. Sora Aruzaki got a 2-4 6 months ago. But yeah, you can kind of assume that it was just basically going through the game, trying, of course, doing your best, but they never did another runs. He left to us that other runners started to actually optimize the game.
Yeah, kind of making a bit of a skeleton for the future runners to sort of go off of.
And I want to say how essential that is. It is often kind of demoralizing to find no runs. It can be intimidating, so that one run, even if unpolished, will save a lot of people's time.
Let's start.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, as per usual, a pretty important thing for these fights is not only using Sunstone, but ideally being able to have that bar at the bottom as filled as possible, so we're prepared for the next fight. That's also another area where RNG comes in. I also do want to point out, I love the music in this game, by the way. I think the fight music in this game is the best out of the three.
How about... Ta-da!
So yeah, with these attacks, we'll be getting that bar filled up there. See, there we go.
You gotta love yourself. I'm up. Easy peasy.
And while we might not see all of them, there are a lot of cool other abilities that you'll see in like a casual playthrough if you do them. Like there are other fusions. Lapis has one that I like where she summons a bunch of hands from the ground and they just like do a bunch of damage every enemy on the field. I think Peridot has something where she makes like a whole bunch of drones appear and they do some damage.
Is there like a major character like for the party if it didn't take like maybe a long side quest or something like that to unlock?
There is Peridot, so we won't be seeing Peridot in this run. We will run into Connie in the Palace of Light. She got updated. She got added in a new update, but we won't be using her. She is. She's riding Lion in this game, which is pretty cool.
This'll pack a punch.
Steven, it's time.
So yeah, Garnet taking quite a bit of damage there too. And yeah, the show itself also has a lot of good music. Also, quite a decent bit of singing as well. Especially in the earlier seasons, a lot of characters get like 2 to 3 minute long songs that they sing.
Yeah, I haven't ever watched Steven Universe, but thanks to a rhythm game, I know a song. It's from that Purple Girl thing. Go ahead and try and hit me if you're able.
That's Garnet.
Oh, no, that's
actually,
Garnet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Good
whole
song.
soundtrack. There's a CD of the soundtrack, which is, and it is just absolute fire from start to finish.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I've only known that song and I was like, okay, it's a song. Like, I know it can stupid to think it that way, but you think like a song from a cartoon maybe doesn't get too much work put into it, but yeah, really good stuff. And also the music in the game, extremely enjoyable.
Yeah, that's also actually the first time Garnet sings in the show too, so it was like a pretty big hype reveal when it happened way back in the day. In like 2015 or 2016.
Which is surprising because she's voiced by Estelle, a rapper, musical artist in her own right.
Yeah, if Garnet sounded familiar to anyone and you didn't know, that's because that is Estelle. If you don't know her, you probably know the song American Boy that she did with Kanye West.
Let's use an item.
Oh, maybe I think I'm thinking of the other American Boy, the old one. The one, is that the one that was like, the one they made that Fortnite parody? Is that the one?
That's
Yeah.
the one. Yep.
Oh, okay, yeah. Then that's the one. Okay, yeah, very well known.
Yeah, that original song, Estelle/Garnet is the woman singing in it.
Are you ready, Steven?
So here in the shop, we're looking to grab a rainbow key. Hidden right on past it. There's nothing we have to actually buy in the shop though, we're just here for that key.
Bring it.
Now, a name more people might recognize is the fusion between Amethyst and Garnet is Sugarlight, and that was voiced by Nicki Minaj.
Lots of great voice actors in the show. The great star of stage and screen, Patti LaBelle, as Yellow Diamond.
Yes, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, Amethyst's voice actor, AJ Pachalka, also played Katra in the amazing She-Ra reboot cartoon.
So we're at Crystal Gems Light, I think, right now. This is the boss fight, and something that Loki's told me about, that we want to have a full health bar here. This fight can be a bit dangerous. We have to take care of Bismuth Steven and Garnet, and if he's defeated, if she's defeated, it's like the run's dead. Like if any of them is defeated, I'm sorry.
And speaking of, Lapis just barely surviving that. So yeah, this boss fight, you're fighting light clones of the 3 crystal gems and Steven. And we're not seeing it quite yet, but another dangerous thing about this fight is every time you defeat one of them, all of the others will heal and get a little bit more powerful.
Yeah, and I think the dangerous part is that they can all do focus on one character, and that is the part where you have to pray for good RNG.
Yeah, it is very unfortunate that ends up happening.
Yeah.
So you see here, they're healing, they're going a little bit taller and more powerful.
They
Luckily,
basically gone
it
through
is a slow
puberty.
burn. And next up, we're focusing on Pearl because she is pretty powerful. She also loves throwing that spear, which can hit multiple enemies. As a bonus, we hit Steven a little bit as well. Okay, there we go. Okay, we got both of them. I do believe that is a good thing.
Cheeseburger backpack.
So, last up, we just have one super buffed Garnet. Now, it's a good thing that they can't fuse as well. Imagine going up against a super buffed Sunstone right now. I wouldn't be a fan of that. And there we go, the boss is defeated. And that was the boss of Pyrope's world. Yes, I do believe for that fight you intentionally do not hit the full radius. That way you can defeat both of them at once. Because otherwise, if you just defeated Pearl, then the Steven construct would heal and get stronger as well.
That is correct. We hit Pearl all perfect attack except for one. Feed them together.
So, where to?
So before we move on to the Palace of Light, we're going to be stopping by this store. We're going to be grabbing some more of those green star fruits.
So, where to?
The nice thing is that when you leave and come back into an area, things will respawn, so you can just keep on coming back and buying more. It's not like if you buy one of the items, it's gone forever. But with the exception of unique items, of course. Like if you were to buy a schematic or a costume thing at a store, it's just going to be replaced with some generic item afterwards. So now we're back at the Palace of Light. As I mentioned earlier, Connie got added in a recent update. So Connie can join your party. She'll be riding Lion. They have a couple of unique abilities. However, we don't actually need her for the speedrun. So hi, Lion and Connie, and bye.
Also, all ambushes in this Entrance Hall are completely RNG, so yeah, that's not ideal, but let's hope we get as little as possible.
Yeah, that's especially for speedrunning is an unfortunate thing, is for the most part, all the fights within this palace, they're just going to be those ambushes like we saw before in a couple of worlds, and it can just be completely random how many times you run into them. But just like all the other fights, the main thing is for the most part fusing into Sunstone and trying to make sure that Friendship Bar is filled up as much as possible. That way we can keep on refusing as necessary. And there is Hessonite. Or I'm sorry, a mysterious gem who we have definitely never seen before. We're just kind of skipping through the dialogue since we're speedrunning, but it is a bit humorous. Every time we run into Hessonite in the Palace of Light, she tells you something that you either just did or you did like a long time ago, or otherwise it's very obvious. And she thinks she just gave you like the most impressive advice imaginable.
Let's done.
But yeah, otherwise, the Palace of Light is... You can return to it at any point if you want to and go through it, and basically do that to gain experience or find more items. Since we're speedrunning, we don't come here until we actually have to. But I guess they kind of intended you to come back like every once in a while. Especially since as you keep getting more rainbow keys, you can unlock more of the areas. For the speedrun though, of course, we're just going to be taking the fastest route to get to the end, to the final boss.
Leave this to me. Hey!
No.
And also that there is Pyrope.
Cheeseburger
So there is Demantoid, who we ran into earlier, and there is Pyrope. They are the two gems. Going back to the story, they are two gems. They were pretty high up in the hierarchy of the Gem Empire. So obviously, compared to like the Paradots and Bismuths, who are kind of like the grunts of the Empire, Pyropes and Demantoids were higher up, so they're not too happy with Steven coming along and saying, no, everyone is equal. So the story basically is that they are refusing to give up their power, and so Steven's coming along to try to change their ways.
I'm also happy to report that world record chances are more alive than ever thanks to a gold in the previous split.
Yeah, that was very nice. We also ended up saving about 20 seconds there too. And there, a couple of gems have reached, I believe it's level 10, and you unlock a second badge slot. Yeah, otherwise, it's kind of just going to be the same formula as we're trying to get to the final boss, so maybe a good time for like a final, any last announcements you want to make before we're getting to the boss and finishing up?
Sure, let's talk prizes. We've got 2 more sets of Pearlers that are available as prizes here for SGL 2021. One set of Hello Kitty Pearlers that will end tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and finishing up right thereafter. That's about right until when the Hello Kitty run is happening. The Hello Kitty block, there are 2 runs, and right after that at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we have an amazing set of Untitled Goose Game Pearlers that you can win. And all those prizes are available to anybody who makes a donation, which you can do at our Matcherino site. I will throw the link in the chat, or by the time you're hearing this, I already have. And yeah, get those donations in. All the donations go towards the prize pool for next year's tournaments. I hope to see a lot of donations coming in for this world record hype finish here on Steven Universe Unleash the Light.
I'm gonna go with this.
Steven.
Yes, Steven needs
Time.
all your help he needs in order to save the universe, so do please donate. Steven does typically like to grab some pizzas after he does a hard day's work, so I imagine he'll be doing that after he's done liberating all the gems here. Now, as someone whose favorite gem is Pearl, the speedrun makes me a little bit sad because she's not really optimal to use. And here is Hessenite once more. I do believe here she's informing us that we can use the keys to unlock extra doors or something like that. Oh, like I said, she just tells you things that you already figured out.
Let's boogie.
Kind of like Navi.
Yeah, pretty much. Hey, listen.
Hey!
That was another gold split, by the way. Now just 4 seconds off PB/world record pace.
Yeah, I do believe we have like about 25 or so seconds to play with here.
It's gonna come down to the wire though, given that we do not know how optimized the splits we're going against are.
Yeah, and again, a big thing, especially here at the end of the run, which is really unfortunate, is just the RNG with all these ambushes. You know, at least for some runs, your RNG is just like scattered about, or is just like a little bit here and there. But in this game, there's just like so much RNG from the ambushes right at the end here. So you
Yeah.
could be on like a great paced run, and then the game is just like, nope.
As far as Stairway goes, it's just, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's just going to be 2 fights that Loki knows he's going to get into and knows what he has. And Pyro doesn't face too many issues RNG-wise, so yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah, that is one thing. Luckily, Pyrope is pretty straightforward.
Cheeseburger backpack.
I do believe the Fusion is maybe more or less a little bit as well. At least compared to Save the Light. In Save the Light, you fight the Prism, and then you fight Hessenite directly afterward. And both of them are pretty big on the RNG. So you could hypothetically lose like up to a minute and a half or even more there, which is
The
really
guy that I have
unfortunate.
here has like patterns of attack. I'm not quite getting if they are RNG or if they're set. That's the thing. But they are 5 different attacks. So for those that don't know, Prism is like a fusion of 3 light prisms. One that from Pyro, one from Demon Toy, I think that's the name. And the other one we had, and they take it away from us. So like their attacks are like a combination.
Yeah, if I do recall from my playthrough, the attacks would be random depending on what color the prism is.
Yeah, that's
And
correct.
so-
There is a red, green, yellow, blue, and white.
Alright, looks like our bar is going to be filled up for the next fight as well, which is good.
Do love to see it.
And there is the mysterious gem once more. And Pyrope and Demantoid are basically kind of like bickering with her and kind of insulting you along the way as well. Hess Knight, I believe, is informing us that we need a red key to get through that door. Again, you know, the obvious stuff. And yeah, you didn't actually get that red key until you defeated the gem constructs in that third world. And here is Pyrope. I do quite like her design as well. Gives off that, like, Victorian England regal sort of look.
Gives me like a vibe of both like Victorian England and a geisha.
Yeah, definitely.
Good mashup. Those two styles. Very creative.
So yeah, here we are again. Bismuth playing a little bit of Minecraft, doing some foraging to get us our items. So her 3 attacks, she can either do a sort of like whirlpool of damage. I believe she uses her fan for that. We might actually be seeing that here in a second.
Look alive, soldier.
Oh, no, here we go. So she can make copies of herself.
For your trouble.
So I believe you will know who the real one is if she attacks. Otherwise, just after you go into them, they disappear like that.
Guess what time it is?
So yeah, there we go. That one in the middle was the real one. So yeah, otherwise, Demantoid, I'm sorry, Pyro, she is basically kind of straightforward. Kind of much like Demantoid. You're just kind of like going through the motions here with Sunstone and attacking whenever she makes her clones. It's a good thing she has that fan with her, because I imagine having Sunstone fall onto a giant raging ball of fire probably makes you kind of hot.
Yeah, I don't see how a fan would survive it, but hey.
Well, you know, it's like a magical alien gem fan, so that's why.
Of course. You have to be immune to fire if you're alien. Every that.
And all that burn damage too. Let's see if she's just throwing that. So that's her other attack. She can throw that fan at one enemy.
CyberLokii is kind of shaking his head. It seems like he's not getting what he wants out of this.
Yeah, I think maybe the fan attack might be the bad RNG for this fight.
I know that he messed up an attack with Bismuth. He did it a bit too late. And we are coming down to the wire, and it's like chances of record are becoming slim, but hey, very decent run. Very close to PB, which is something that you have to put up with in a marathon.
Yeah, I do believe we're only like about a minute behind the PBs, so that is really good. Now with Pyrope defeated, we have the Mantoid coming over. And they're going to make the 3 prisms fuse into basically a big mega fusion. However, we also have Hessonite. Or sorry. Oh, the mysterious gem. Who is she? Whoa, it's Hessonite.
God.
Part of the joking as well is it's so obvious is Hessenite, but she denies it during the dialogue as you go through the palace.
Yeah, they now steal our Prism.
But yeah, so they're making the 3 prisms fuse. And yeah, making this big prism fusion monster here. Which, interestingly enough, if we're paying attention during the stores, it looks like the sort of statue.
It
that
looks
all the
incredibly
stores are.
similar to the
Yep,
one that sells you
yeah.
stuff. Yep. And the design is phenomenal, so I'm happy they kept it.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, as you can see, Hessenite decides to join your party for the final fight.
See what we've got.
Bismuth
I'm-
is still playing Minecraft.
Cheeseburger backpack.
You gotta keep on gaming as business.
Yeah, grind.
As you would say, we are back in Bismuth.
Oh my god.
So yeah, we also have so it's green, which means it randomly does poison damage all of us.
Soldier.
Now it's switching over to yellow, which is going to disable. I believe it's going to disable one of the characters, like basically stun them. But yeah, we're going to have Bismuth attack here.
Yeah, basically yellow disables random characters. So yeah, there is some RNG at play here. And what I initially discussed, it's not a set order, it's completely random. So yeah, just in
Yeah.
case you want to clutch the run out, you can die here.
Yeah, so every time the Prism does an attack, it's then going to change that color and become something else. And see there we have Bismuth attack, so we get a defense debuff on it. We also have Bismuth's ability, which lowers all powers by 1 star who are next to her. The Garnet coming in and attacking.
Let's try this. Let's boogie.
So the way that this fight works is once the Prism itself is knocked out like this, then you can start doing damage to Pyrope and Demantoid. And Sunstone is going to come in, doing a nice powerful attack for us. Hopping on over there, now we're attacking Demantoid. Alright, with that, Pyrope has been taken out.
Hmm.
And we're on the final seconds of the run, just like that.
I don't feel so good. Hey, no, not Steven.
So it immobilized Steven, which as far as I'm aware is not convenient at all because you cannot use your backpack.
Yes, unfortunately, he also took enough damage to get knocked out as well.
Yeah, that is insanely unfortunate.
Yeah, this is the first time we saw this as well, so you can see that sort of I just know it as like a do not enter sign or like no sign or whatever. But yeah, it appears over the backpack to let you know that you can't actually use it right now. And as mentioned, yeah, since you can't actually use the backpack right now, it's really unfortunate when Steven gets knocked out.
Yeah, you can't also use like fusion. Can't use Sunstone.
And also Steven's abilities, like he has 1 mega heal that he can use. So we had green again, so that damages everyone, puts a little bit of poison on them. Red there means if it gets to attack, it's going to do fire damage to everyone. So it puts on a little fire debuff. Like, same kind as Sunstone has put on enemies throughout the run. Unfortunately, I do believe we've gotten some bad RNG here for the Prism fight.
Okay.
And unfortunately, we have just lost a Garnet as well.
This is coming to be quite difficult, huh?
Oh yeah, the Prism knew we were in a marathon, so it said, nope,
Yeah.
you make this difficult.
They just said, nah, you know what, I'm just gonna do the worst possible.
Blue there also means damage to one target, which is going to be on Bismuth.
Ooh, we did lose Bismuth too. Lokii, gonna need to clutch it out.
Just let me know when you've had
Hess Knight has like a little bit of an anime attack here, too.
Yeah. And you can see why we don't use this in the run itself, it's long.
F. Oh no. Ok, se me complicó el final. No.
Okay, so Loki just said that the endings become a bit complicated. We lost our entire party just now. Just never ideal. So we are going to have to retry that one more time. Luckily, we are way ahead of estimate, so nothing to be ashamed of there, Loki.
Yes, unfortunately, bosses tend to be not too favorable towards speedruns.
Yeah, we do have to do Pyro all over again, it seems. But hey, we're just going to talk about it again. Baldrin, I think you never said this, but she looks like English Dorian dress.
Yeah, and I'm pretty certain there's got to be a bit of a intended thing on the design as well, because you know, like I mentioned, Pyro and Demantoid, they're both garnets, and actual garnets, unlike our fusion, they are pretty high up in a hierarchy. So the fact that she has this sort of regal look is definitely something that's got to be intentional.
It's the sort of thing that if nobody told me about it, I wouldn't have noticed it. But you know, it's not when you can see that there's depth in character when things like that are done.
Yeah, if anything, Steven Universe, they do pay quite a lot of attention to small details. Like, one thing I can think of, for example, is there's multiple times when you can see diamonds or diamond-shaped things in earlier seasons. And in a way, it kind of like foreshadows what you learn as the series goes on with the diamonds and everything.
Yeah, you always like to see like shows that know that they have like a project planned out, and then by the end it's just this big climax that you can go back to and find all the clues they've been telling you.
Yeah, like one cool thing is the back of Greg's van. Greg is Steven's dad. We don't see him in the game, but he has two windows in the back of his van, and they're actually diamond shaped. And like you wouldn't really think anything of it as you're watching the first season, but when you go back after you finish it, it's like, oh, they're diamond shaped. That's the foreshadowing the diamonds.
Yeah, that's really cool. And it's a bit sad that not many shows do that. Like many shows like Motions, so definitely props to them for doing that.
Yeah, like I grew up on things like, Courage the Cowardly Dog and Dexter's Lab and Hey Arnold and all of those. And like I really liked those shows, but yeah, like when I grew up, shows didn't really, I guess, do much like a overarching story. I mean, at least not cartoons anyway.
Yeah, no, as far as cartoon goes, you want to make situational, that's fine, but I tend to dislike cartoons or shows for that matter that just kind of like want to do an overarching plot, but depending on how well or badly certain things go, they kind of change it midway. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
go
I know what
if
you
you
mean
go
now.
back and watch Steven Universe from the very early seasons, you can see what it's leading up to. Meanwhile, some other shows, even some cartoons that are very well known, that I'll not mention in case somebody likes them, doesn't quite do that. Okay, so Pyro's still gone down again, so we're coming down to Prism Fusion one more time. And I can assure you he will be a perfect Prism Fusion because it's a marathon, so he will be second try perfect RNG.
Maybe we can post some gem emojis in chat to give us good luck.
Yeah, could use it.
Look at the bright side. If the run takes a little bit longer, that means we get to listen to the great music for even longer.
Absolutely. Not like I have the stream muted or anything, otherwise I can't hear you, but...
Alright, so looks like the Prism's starting off with red. So again, that's
Fire
going to be the
damage.
fire damage.
Yeah.
I choose you.
The good thing about watching this twice is that I can really, like, fight this dude if I want to.
Let's see what we've got. Here we go. Dare you? Hey! Give this a whirl. How about
Okay, there we go. Very nice. So one thing I did notice was last time Loki unfortunately missed the first perfect hit with Bismuth. That defense debuff only goes on when Bismuth lands the perfect hit there.
Oh, yeah, that explains. He also missed the perfect hit on Pyro, which I guess became irrelevant, but yeah, that makes... Looks like we're all bet headed for a steady second try Prism Fusion.
Yeah, that's one of the things that you would be practicing if you were to be interested in speedrunning this game, would be trying to nail these perfect hits, because as you can see, being able to do them is pretty important to the run.
That is also very similar to Paper Mario, I feel.
Yeah, because Paper Mario has the like jumping and like
Yeah, the
all those
A hits, let's call them. Okay, Pyro taking a big L here. She once again
She
diseased.
is out of here. And I think we'll be able to do enough damage to Demantoid here.
Is that going to be it for the run? For whoever's doing the time, I think it's the host. The timer ends when the screen turns completely white.
Yeah, the screen's going to completely white out in a couple of moments here, and now will be time.
Finally.
All right. It took a while, but they are
Yeah,
gone.
so, yeah, so here's just going to be a little bit of a dialogue that goes on. And time.
Woo!
All right.
GG's in chat.
And that is
Yes.
Steven Universe Unleash the Light any percent.
Definitely a fun run, if I may say so myself.
Yeah, there is quite a decent amount of RNG, but also a lot of skill for the players as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask Loki if he has anything he would like translated. Loki, ¿querés que traduzca algo de despedida?
Que muchas gracias por acompañarme, Bardin, vos, Delk, y bueno, también recomendarse a ustedes mismos que vos sos speedrunner de L Ninja y Bardin hace crucigramas, ha estado jugando Pokémon, le gusta mucho Steven Universe y tal.
Alright. So what Loki's saying there, he's saying thanks to all of us, and he's thanking us and making kind of a self-promo. I'm a 9 Ninja runner, and as I heard, Baldwin runs, I think it's called Save the Light, which is the game prior to this one. And that's gonna be it for us, unless Baldwin has some goodbye words to say. I had a lot of fun, guys.
We do have a if you go to speedrun.com, there is Steven Universe Unleash the Light, and I do believe we just recently uploaded a guide as well. So if this looked like a game you want to get interested in running, you could go there and check it out. Otherwise, you could also follow CyberLokii to see more runs of this as well.
Yep.
And thank you very much for having us too.
Yeah, thank you for having me, guys. Have a nice rest of the marathon.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. And GG again to CyberLokii. We'll be back shortly with more marathon. Can you believe it? Yes, you can.
Thanks.